Okay, so I think this is now on. Hey, everybody. Before we get started, I'm just gonna wait for something to happen. Just probably wait for like a minute for everything to. So, the topic of the stream today is going to be talking about the projects that I have developed that ended up being canceled, which is basically following up to Random Stream 11, showing you all my developed games with Gotcha Club like thumbnail. And this was back in 2022, aka my most regrettable year to ever exist. I don't think I'm going to. I'm not going to even bother self promoting this stream because, number one, that would just make me look bad trying to. And not only to possibly gain fame, but also like make it seem like that I'm attention seeking. That'll just end up making a bad look for me. So instead, I'm gonna not self promote this stream at all because I don't want myself to view that way. I was like that once in May 2024, but that was only because my mindset was not at the right track in a server once. And I didn't realize that I would do that. That I would have done it, but that's not the topic of this stream. The topic of this stream will be me talking about my canceled projects. Anyhow, let me just. Okay, so the first project that I'm going to be talking about, of course, is 7 Steam Nights with Jumon Extreme Fan 87. Yep, that project has officially been canceled by me because I just stated that. Yeah, I definitely planned this game back in like 2018 when I turned 13 because I was so inspired by Five Nights with 39. I've decided that why not do the same thing except try to add new characters to the mix, which was a very very hard thing to do because I didn't know who to add. Like there were two videos about 7 Steam Nights with Jumon Extreme Fin 87, which is a mouthful of a title, because it just is. I don't know why exactly. But other than that, I didn't know who to add, which would basically be like it would later on revamp or be repurposed into Four Nights with Carson. And that project is canceled. Well, the old version. The new version, it's still in the works. I have no idea because I'm having trouble on who to add to because I don't want to make it look a lot like a Finance with 39 clone because knowing how much I have a repetitive mindset, I don't want that game to look exactly like that. I want Fortnite with Carson to look completely different to Finance with 39. And don't get me wrong, I love Finance with 39. I love the Finance with 39 saga. But yeah, I'm officially declaring 7 Steam Nights with Gmon Extreme Fan 87 canceled. Because I did say on and on and on that it's still in early development. It had stopped. So I'm canceling that. Also, the phone calls were cringe for me to listen to back. I don't find them cringe because that was just a statement of honesty. The phone calls didn't make any sense. It was just Carson talking to the phone guy for 7 to 8 nights straight. And then night 9, he just went completely silent. I'm talking about 17 nights with Dream Exchange 87. That's really all about that game. That is a lot. Okay. The second project I'm talking about that it got canceled too is Memories at Freddy's Diner. I developed this game back in 2020, I think, around September 2020, and I wanted to make a fan game that is based off of the unwithered animatronics because I did see fan games trying to take a direction of trying to make the game based off of the unwithered animatronics. Like a good example being Five Nights at Freddy's: The Beginnings, made by a good friend of mine, Andrew John 100. And I ended up canceling that because looking back, it looked the old version of Memories of Freddy's Diner looked a lot like looked a lot like Five Nights at Freddy's The Beginnings, which obviously is not my intention because the map I was using was different. It had a door on the left and a vent on the right, and it had a flashlight. Well, it had a door mechanic on the left, so it kind of sort of is like a carbon copy of Five Nights at Freddy's The Beginnings, which obviously isn't my intention to copy Five Nights at Freddy's The Beginnings. So I eventually scrapped that version of proceeding to make a new version with a new voice cast of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy sounding exactly like the voices from the Hidden Lore from Mr. Creepypasta. Why was I doing that? Well, that's because I thought the Hidden Lore voices would fit really well with the unwooden animatronics, which still is, in my opinion. And after some complications of trying to make the new version, knowing I have no experience of making a map or using Blender at all in general, which, yes, I still don't have experience with Blender, I eventually canceled that version too. And yeah, I'm making a new version called Memories of Freddy's Diner Memories Alike. I don't know how that version is going to turn out because one, I don't have a supportive graphics card, the one SFM on this here computer. And number two, I still, to this day, as stated, have no experience with Blender whatsoever. I still don't. And I eventually got the voices casted, and I'm afraid to tell them because I'm not a very good director, by the way. When it comes to being a director of my games, it just completely falls flat. Knowing how much I have a repetitive mindset, and I just had no idea what to do when directing a game. Because that issue also comes into play when voice casting Five Nights at Freddy's with Visualized, which is a blatantly obvious remake of FNAF 1. And I was talking to the VA of the phone guy, and the communication went really, really badly though, because I'm never good at directing. I'm never good at voice directing. I'm never really good at doing those. So I eventually so I never send them the scripts because I was really worried of what the conversations would look like if I did send the scripts in. If I could find it, that is, if I could find the... No, I don't see. Yeah. And I was talking about my style of YT, the VA phone guy for Memories of Freddy. I mean, Finance of Freddy's Revisualized. That was back in 2022, and the conversation went really badly, as stated. Because I did say that there will be 5 phone calls, but it ended up not doing so good. So I completely just ditched that VA and ended up doing the phone calls myself, never bothering to make the scripts. That was a bad move on my part because I was worried and stressful of what the phone call of what the conversations would be after the scripts were sent, which never did because that pretty much proves how awful I am at directing my projects when it comes to contacting with the voice actors and all that. So yeah. At the VA of the phone guy, my style of YT or whatever they go by now is watching this stream, I'm very sorry. Like, it could have been handled better. The conversations could have been handled better, but as they stand, it did not look so good. And I wish I went with the 4 call formula, like 9-4 call formula, where Final Fantasy 1 had 4 calls. But instead, I moved that to 5 because I thought it looked cool enough, which is not a good way to do something like that. I did get the lines of Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy, but not Golden Freddy and Freddy Fazbear. I was never able to find a VA for Freddy Fazbear. I did see a potential VA choice for Freddy Fazbear at the time, named Cam DeMan. I think that's his name, Cam DeMan. He voices Glamlock Freddy and Monty in Security Breach, Blast to the Past. He was a good. I think he was a potential choice for Freddy Fazbear, but I never went through with it while trying to look for Freddy Fazbear. So, yeah, the biggest issue when it comes to making my games is the AI movement or the animatronic movement. That's where the issue comes in when trying to make my games, or quote unquote trying to make my games. I never went through the tutorial. I did at one point with Bonnie's AI for Memories of Freddy's Dino, the old version, but I never went on making the rest of the animatronic movement. I just did Bonnie's. I released an early demo, and I never had stated. I did stated that the animatronics did not move in the early demo. It's still out. You can go play it if you want because that game ended up being canceled anyway. And here's same would apply with the Return to Freddy's 2 remake that I have made, which I did see it. I thought the remake that I made of the Return to Freddy's 2 had good potential. I thought it really did. But because I was that lazy trying to make the lap layout of the pizzeria, which is called Fredbear's Family Diner in the Return to Freddy's 2, I ended up using different maps. That basically goes to show how lazy I was. But because I have an unsupported graphics card in SFM in this computer I'm using right now, I'm not able to make that map. It still runs. Don't get me wrong, it still runs, but I cannot make a game that is good when I don't have a supportive graphics card to run SFM. It still runs, but I'm at graphic wise, because the visuals at the end of the day, when I try to make them, will end up being very, very dull. So I threw that in the bin. Hold on, I need water for this. Okay. Here's where the big one comes in. Ultimate Custom Night, Fredbear's Revenge. A very generic name for a fan game, or a UCN fan game in general. Before hello, Cult XIEX1X. I was just talking about my canceled projects, which is basically a follow up to Random Stream number 11, showing you all my developed games, as stated in the beginning of the stream. You can go watch it if you want, but hold on, I gotta use the bathroom. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. I can't believe I'm about to talk about UCN Fredbear's Revenge. Okay, so here's the thing. The project server is still up, but I'm not going to send. No invites will be given to that server. It was made back in 2021, specifically October 3rd of 2021, when the voice casting began in September 17th, 2021. I was looking for voice actors for all the characters. Okay, here's the thing. What I should have done was not make Did you voice over Frostbear and Andrew John 100? Yes. Yes, that was me. For Nightmare Unwrapped, the 600K subscriber special, the Q&A, and Shadow Freddy's Dilemma. And because the Fazbear segments are going to be animated, I'm going to be reprising my role as Frostbear. And I did voice Nedbear in the second Q&A. And whenever Nedbear gets an appearance of the Fazbear segments, I'm sure to voice him too, because the Fazbear segments are going to be animated now, as stated by Andrew. Basically, with returning voice actors from the main Freddy Fazbear and Friends series. Just wanted to let you know, but that's besides the point of this stream. So, as stated, the casting call went up for UCN Fredbear's Revenge in September 17th, 2021. That's what I mean, not 2017, 2021. And I was looking for voice actors for basically all the characters, every single character, especially the ones that didn't make it in the original UCN, like Golden Freddy, not Withered Golden Freddy, because Withered Golden Freddy was in UCN. Withered Freddy, with a Foxy, basically everybody who wasn't involved with UCN, created by Scott. And okay, let me go to the yes, it did went up September 17, 2021. And the casting call, for the most part, is rough. Basically, the page had 87 roles. 50 of them were taken. No, wait, no. 37 of them were taken, and only 126 submissions. I was expecting a lot. And the voice casting was very, very rough. And the voice descriptions were very, very wordy. It should have been shortened. And I think the TV Bunny approached me out of the blue around October, wanting to help me with the voice casting, and I was like, sure. But that was before the TV Bunny got hacked in July 15, 2022, which caused the project to fall apart. I feel like okay. But I'll get to that later. The voice casting went smoothly throughout the rest of 2021. And we got even more voice actors of the team. We got even more members. Not a lot. But actually, yeah. Until like at one point we had to pay for the voice actors, and that's the thing. We had to pay for like the voice actors for like anything really. When the voice actors came in, one of them said that they wanted to be paid for that role, and then eventually another voice actor wanted to be paid for that role, and I think March or I can't look back in the I can't look back in the DMs because TV Bunny got hacked, and I was extremely anxious to pay for the voice actors because I did not have a single penny in my PayPal. Not a single penny. When she asked me that if we're going to be paying the voice actors, we're going to have to pay every single voice actor money. And I was extremely anxious to even pay anybody because that would end up leading to the game. I fear that if I didn't, it would lead up to the game's cancellation, and I did not want to go through that. And eventually, I threw out the scrapped version, the old version, the one that was in 1024 to 576, because I did not want to exceed to the click team's limitations, because I feared that would be the case and I would have to work the game all over again. And I think another team member, the previous team member, got hacked in like May 2024. That happened on a Friday, and I was extremely scared when that happened. Like, I eventually got him blocked and removed from the server because, hacked. Whenever hackers hack an account, they need to do something about that. This whole story feels extremely disjointed, and I wish I had typed them out on the doc, but considering my laziness, I have no time for that. So about a total of, hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There was one time in 2021 where I had to redo every single character's mugshot icons. because I wasn't proud of them because they were with their old models. So I remade them. They were with better lighting, and I was proud of them. I eventually had to like redo the mug shots at some point, and I had to redo Nightmare Forever and Nightmares because I did not have the models that had the same that were made for the same model pack. And I would show all the alpha footage, but it was from 2021, and I I can't believe how much of a bad director I am. If I have if I had the experience, I'll say this right now. If I had the experience of what a director actually does and what a director should do right, then the development wouldn't go as bad as it is. It just went down because I kept delaying it and delaying it to focus on my IOL life because time was getting more scarce, and I did not. I was very anxious to continue development right after I had redone everything, and I didn't add any sounds because I didn't add any pre-existing sounds. Hey, Ouija, I didn't add any pre-existing sounds because I think the TV Bunny was going to do sounds, but I never contacted her to do any sounds, or the time didn't come. I think I don't. Eventually, in 2024, I announced the game's cancellation in a petty, desperate way. And I wish I had done the cancellation better, but because of the fact my mindset wasn't in the right track, the cancellation went bad. It went bad. And eventually along the way, I did another event update. Then I did an update because update might have to cancel this one later because at this point, this project has gone to waste. I still don't get how coding out of a charter movement works, obviously, which is still true, believe it or not. And then I did another update, which was very petty because my mindset was not at the right track still. And then leading up to the game's cancellation, May 25th, 2024, that's when I announced the game's cancellation in a downright stupid, petty way. And then said the following, and I quote, "All right, that's it. I can't keep up with this anymore. I have to let it out. The game's dead and canceled. I have computer issues which affected SFM. The UCN AI movement's coding is too complicated for me to do, and I can't even pay anyone with a lack of money on PayPal. I tried being patient throughout 2 years for this project's revival, but nothing new has come up about it. Sorry for your disappointment, but it's over, and I just can't leave this a burden and pretend like everything is normal still. It's really not anymore. Why did I bother being a game developer? Why did I bother being a game developer anyway?" Narrowing that down, that is not a good way of how you cancel a plot that you announce a project's cancellation. That is not a good way. That is not the right and good way to do that because you have to be honest and be open about what happened with the game's project, of how why it was canceled, why it was still leaving a burden. I just I just didn't want anybody to question when is the game. I didn't want anybody to question me when is the game coming out, why is it taking so long, all of that. I was not that was a really bad time for me, and I wish that the game's development was handled better. I wish it really was, but in the end, it just ended up becoming a waste. And I did not tell a single person in the project server about the game's cancellation because they're gonna say you basically swept us under the rug, wasting our time for nothing. You're a bad director, and you need to do a really and you seriously need to improve on what. I don't know how to word this. I don't know how to word this, but that's what I worry because I wish it was again. I wish the okay. This was a lot to take in for Ultimate Custom Night. Fredbear's Revenge's development. I wish I had not wasted everybody's time for nothing. I wish that if I did get the chance, that I would continue the project when I actually learned the animatronic AI movement. And also poor communication. That's the other thing with me. Because that other thing I said about not sending the phone guy VA for Finance of Freddy's visualized scripts at all, I I don't know if I am still capable of being a director of my games. That was a stupid that was still an unjustifiable and not acceptable on my part. I was extremely anxious. To the people who I had wasted time with on not only the Finance of Freddy's Revisualized development, but also the UCN Fredbear's Revenge's development. I am very sorry that I had wasted your time for nothing to come up because my mindset at the time was not right. It still wasn't an unjustifiable, and it wasn't it wasn't even I just don't know how to word this. Really, I really do not. I still don't know if and yeah, with that said, I I never mean to waste anybody's time when it comes to developing my games that they're a part of. And it feels like I'm doing it again with Memories of Freddy's Dino and Memories Alike because no wonders have been made, no story has been made still, and it feels like a rinse and repeat. Like I can't just announce the game's cancellation in front of the cast of members for Memories of Freddy's Dino, Memories Alike, because I have a strong feeling that they're gonna say that I have never changed one single bit. Because I still have no experience with Blender. No story has ever been made for Memories of Freddy's Diner. No wonders have been made. I am a very bad game director. Which is also bad because in 17 days, I'm going to turn 21 years old. Like, I, I don't know what else there is to say. Despite the development, despite the del- despite the development hell for my games, especially Memories of Freddy's especially Ultimate Custom Night Forever's Revenge because of its ambition and complicated UCN AI for me to code. I just don't know how to do it right when coding in Click Team. And yeah, as for why I didn't have any of the VAs content on Discord for Memories of Freddy's Dino, like, because I can't help but feel like the more friends I have on Discord, the more likely that possibly a hacker is going to come up and say and possibly try to trick me into getting hacked. Like, I don't want to lose everything in my Discord and make a new account like it was nothing. It sounds stupid, but or even make a server in general. I could have at least done that, but again, no no story has ever been made. No wonders have ever been made. Not a single script has ever been made. The story hasn't been thought out of anything. This really goes to show how much of an inconsistent director that I am in a bad way. And that is that on that. I also want to quickly mention Memories of Fredbear's Diner. Like, it was never going to be canon to the Memories of Freddy's Diner saga if there ever was there was a saga planned where for Memories of Freddy's Diner, it takes place in Fredbear's Family Diner. Memories of Freddy's Diner 2, it takes place in the Fazbear Warehouse. Part 3 takes place in FNAF 2. Part 4 takes place in FNAF 1. And Part 5 takes place in FNAF 3, which is basically the whole FNAF timeline. But at the end of the day, it's just going to end up looking like a blatant carbon copy of the FNAF series. In my opinion, at least. Yeah, Memories of Fredbear's Diner, that was never going to be canon. It really only had two enemies, Fredbear and Spring Bonnie. And the map I was using, I have no idea on how I could possibly make the gameplay work because that was the biggest issue when it comes to making Memories of Fredbear's Diner, and it's the gameplay. It only had one door on the right, and that's it. The gameplay at the end of the day is just easy as all hell. Like, I don't know who else to add. It was just Fredbear and Spring Bonnie, and that was it. Anyway, what else is there? What else is there to talk about? Yeah, the members of British. I know that. Oh yeah, members. Oh yeah, the old version of my FNAF One remake. In the end of the day, it's basically just FNAF One but worse. That's how I see it because I only added one speck of lighting, which was blue lighting, and that's it. And also, the map was connected to each other, so I had no idea of how I'm supposed to make that work. And I also had no idea on how to make the kitchen camera disabled. Is there any way to do it? Because I know that FNAF One did it. Because I know that FNAF One did it. There was also a FNAF Two remake I did, and it was better than FNAF One's old remake that I did. One thing that stood out for me is the UI, specifically at the top, where yes, it does look like it was taken out of Jolly 3 Chapter 2's UI when you were in the office trying to defend yourself against Jolly and George and Maxie and Tweety, I think. I think that's what it was about. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, FNAF. Oh yeah, the FNAF one we visualized. Yeah, I'm looking back in the stream and oh yeah, I forgot. No map has been made yet. The layout of the map hasn't been made yet. And the Return of Radius 2 remake. Oh yeah, the UCM Forever's Revenge I talked about. That was an alpha. Back at that footage. Oh yeah, where the going Freddy was in the office. Because no programming has ever been made yet. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about the gameplay layout of Memories of Web of Ultimate Custom Night Forever's Revenge. That's the one thing I forgot to talk about. It was actually going to have three buttons, right? Three buttons at the bottom. The mask on the bottom left, turn around at the middle, down at the middle, and the camera at the left, and the camera at the bottom right. The turnaround mechanic is basically for Toy Freddy and Nightmare Foxy when trying to think of mechanics. Like there'd be a closet in the back. There'd be a closet in the back where Nightmare Foxy resides in, and you'd see a screen. Basically, Toy Freddy in old in Forever's Revenge was going to be like a streamer instead of a gamer, like in Ultimate Custom Night. Like basically taking Toy Freddy's mechanic to the next level. Because if Toy Freddy's if Toy Freddy appears in the TV static, right in front of the TV static, then you don't help him at all. But if he doesn't appear on the screen, you help him out. That's how it works. And for the West, I forgot what you do. I think Freddy was supposed to appear both left and right. Bonnie appears in the left and Chica appears in the right. Like with Ultimate Custom Night Reimagined, that was long gone now, I think. And I oh yeah, I forgot about this. That stupid version of Ultimate Custom Night I made with all the characters. I didn't know what to call it. but I just ran it for fun anyway. I was not going to turn it into a game. And that's it. That's really all I got to talk about for my canceled projects. I don't know what else is there to say. I don't know what I don't know what else there is to say that hasn't been said yet. If I were to if I were to redo if I were to redo my attempt of making a ultimate custom night game that is better managed, then I would have when it comes to voice casting, I would have done it in waves, like FNAF 1 in Wave 1, the FNAF 2 toys in Wave 2, the Wizards in Wave 3, and so on and so on. But yeah, I wish that development of my games were better handled and better managed because I was just that excited to make a game that works. Some of it I regret very, and I wish I had actually did the scripts of the phone guy for Finance and Freddy's for Visualize and send them to that VA. And oh, and also one last thing before I end this off, Freddy Fazbear streams. That was also a canceled thing. It was basically one of those in character like videos or streams you would see on YouTube, specifically specifically inspiring from Eat Goes Boom or Hazard Master or from Dartbox, you know. And there was going to be a third Freddy Fazbear stream, and it had the VA of Bonnie. I forgot his name, but the stream was going good. I was playing Five Nights at Candy's Remastered, and I was showing it to the Bonnie VA in character. But that and along the way, I think it went down really, really badly though, because I pressed record at the same time unintentionally, and that screwed up the whole stream. And then I was trying to play Five Nights at Candy's Remastered again, but then Discord crashed on me. And then the Bonnie VA left out of frustration because he was not liking how it turned out. And I eventually decided to scrap the whole Freddy Fazbear streams altogether. Like, just like that. I had not bothered trying to do it again with a new voice cast, and that was it. I canceled the Freddy Fazbear and Friends stream because it was not turning out good. Especially because the Bonnie VA left. Why did my 16-year-old self thought that this was a good idea? Like that was the whole that's another problem too. Like trying to think of a schedule of when they're available. Like considering how much I am a hesitant social battery. Well, that part isn't true. What was true is that I eventually said that I'm streaming and they want to join, and I don't think they joined. That was in the second Freddy Fazbear stream. I don't think either of them joined. I eventually got the Fredbear VA, but then he left shortly after. And when the Bonnie VA was not liking how this turned out, when expecting us to get started at all, that made me cry. That made me cry, reminding myself how terrible I am at managing stuff in the worst way possible. I wished I was handled better. Like with all the stuff that I had made. Because of my repetitive lack of creativity mindset, none of the stuff that I had made were handled well. Of course there are going to be flaws when it comes to developing a project. Like there's always going to be highs, there's always going to be lows, but mine were more like, I would say more so low lows than high highs. I guess to put it that way, I think. Now, I guess this is all going to lead up to the big question. Are you going to continue making games, or at least projects in general? I don't know. Like all my experience is on SFM and Click Team. I still to this day don't know how Blender works. And I think Blender stopped working on my third PC, but I don't know if I'm still capable of developing games or writing stuff. I have a lot to process because it's 2026 and I'm 17 days away from 2021 years old. And I don't really have any plans for 2026. I really don't. Neither 2025 or any year in general. Like it's like every time I try to plan something for that for a specific year, it just never comes to form. It never did come to form, and I did not have any thought or process on how I'm supposed to like plan stuff because that's also one thing I'm never good at planning stuff for a specific year. Again, I have a lot to process because a project is not going to always turn out good, and we know that it depends on its quality, its gameplay, its reception, all of that. I, I have said all I needed to say. I'm sure I'm still capable of making games, but I still don't know if I'm capable of developing, like actually making games when it comes to AI movement and and trying to make how to make the gameplay work. I have said all I needed to say. See you guys next time for random stream number 25. Yeah, I still don't have OBS because I don't like its layout, but at the end of the day it's OBS, right? Because I can't find any other recording thing for me to do. I did try it out Camtasia Camtasia, but that was only like a 30-day trial, I think. But yeah. This is Dramatic Stream Fan 87 signing out. See you guys next time for another stream, wherever that might come. I do want to say though, before I actually end the stream off, is that there were mismanagements along the way when it comes to developing my games, like Memories of Freddy's Diner, UCN Fredbear's Revenge, Finance of Freddy's Revisualized. I thought what I did when developing my games were good enough, or were good enough to actually be passable, which were not. And if I were to make another game, I don't know how that would be handled. But yeah. Okay, now is the good time that now is the good time for me to end this off. Goodbye, guys. And I'm worried about the comments. See you guys later.